Hey everybody, welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be identifying what are the top 10 personality traits that narcissists look for in a target to become the primary source of narcissistic supply. Because let's be honest, everything a narcissist does is calculated and premeditated. So if you think that it's some kind of a fluke or a coincidence that you ended up in a relationship with a narcissist, I would give that a little bit more thought and consideration. Narcissists target a person with two primary goals in mind. Number one, will this person help me present the image to the world that I desire and be a good source of narcissistic supply? And two, will I eventually be able to control this person? And for this video, I'm not going to go into all of the obvious things that many narcissists look for in a target, such as, being beautiful or having a lot of money or beautiful homes and cars. We all know that those are obviously factors that many narcissists look for. But today we're talking about what are the specific character and personality traits they're looking for. So many times we spend all of our time focused on learning what the red flags are as far as the narcissist's behaviors. And of course, that's, incredibly important. But it's also important to think about what is it that they're looking for in a target and why? Because when we can start putting the pieces of this puzzle together in all aspects of this, the more you're going to be able to make sense out of how this happened to you, and also be able to shed some light on how they were able to manipulate you for as long as they did. So hopefully, the goal being is to never get involved with someone like this ever again. So today we're going to be talking about the top 10 personality traits they're looking for in a target. So let's break this down. They are primarily looking for two things in a target. Number one, someone to help them present the image they desire to the outside world. And number two, someone they will be able to control. And many times, the specific personality traits they're looking for in a target will accomplish both of those goals, kind of two for the price of one, if you will. So here are my top 10 personality traits they're looking for in a target. Number one, empathy. We all know that narcissists lack any real capacity to feel empathy. They are incredibly self-centered and really devoid of any genuine feelings of compassion. So finding someone highly empathetic for them is killing two birds with one stone because, number one, it will serve as proof that they indeed are a genuinely good person. They know that for the most part, people tend to judge other people by association. Therefore, because others will be able to see that you are, a genuinely good person, highly empathetic and compassionate person, by association, they will be categorized as being highly empathetic and compassionate as well. And number two, and even more importantly, they know that they will be able to use your empathy and compassion to their advantage later on in the relationship when their mask of who they truly are begins to fall off. So they know they know sooner rather than later, you're going to start to figure out they aren't who you've been led to believe that they are. So eventually their true colors are going to start to shine through this facade. So they know they need someone who is going to have this core character trait, because eventually it's going to become necessary for them to make you feel sorry for them, feel compassion for them, pity them, have feelings of guilt. They realize that this is something that's definitely going to come in handy. So, and they also know, and the other thing about empathy is that highly empathetic people feel all emotions on a deeper level. So not only will they be able to manipulate, high levels of compassion out of you, but they also know that you will be easier to extract high levels of love and kindness, as well as guilt and obligation when necessary. So, again, they're looking for someone who is the polar opposite of what they are. So highly empathetic people, that's number one. Number two, loyalty. They will be gauging how loyal you are to others, whether that be with your family, to your friends, to your job. They need someone who's going to have a real problem being disloyal. Again, they realize that sooner rather than later, they're going to have to exploit and manipulate these core personality traits of yours. So they're definitely looking for someone who that's going to be loyal to them to a fault. That's what they're counting on. So someone extremely loyal to their job, to their friends, to others. They know that person, they're going to have an easier time getting that person to make them incredibly loyal to this relationship. Number 3, they are looking for people pleasers. They want someone who is going to go out of their way to see to it that their needs and desires are met. So, the only person in this relationship that's going to be able to be selfish is them, and nobody knows that more than they do. So finding someone that's a people pleaser is incredibly important, because they know that person is going to be easier to manipulate and take advantage of that trait far longer than someone who is obviously selfish like they are. So people pleaser is right up there. Number 4, they want someone conscientious. Conscientious people are considerate of other people. They make decisions based on their conscience. And as we all know, narcissists are devoid of a conscience. So they are very much aware that they need someone who is going to be kind and considerate of others, take their obligations seriously. They want people who put the narcissist's needs before the needs of their own. So they're looking for someone basically who lives by the golden rule. That obviously someone who lives by the golden rule is also the polar opposite of who they are as a human being. So someone who is highly considerate of others and takes other people's feelings into consideration is a big one. Number 5, integrity. They need someone that they know is going to have extreme difficulties doing things that are unethical. The higher level of your integrity, the safer they are. They know you will be way less likely to lie or cheat, and will be much more likely to keep your commitment to the relationship. So they know they will, it will be easier to manipulate this quality, in you in the future. And again, some people that have a high level of integrity benefit them because of the perception that others will have about them by association. So they're also taking into consideration, how is this going to, am I going to be perceived by the outside world? Also, they know that if you have a high level of integrity, that this will benefit them later on as well when the relationship starts to fall apart. Because if you're someone, with integrity, chances are you're not going to try and retaliate against them when you find out the horrible things that they've been doing to you. So finding someone with integrity is usually very important. Number 6, they are definitely looking for someone who is generous. They will be intensely watching how generous you are, and obviously they're planning on exploiting this trait in you at every stage in the relationship. So in the beginning, when things are good, they know that they can exploit your generosity to spend more money on them, spend more time with them, spend more effort on them than they would ever spend on you. And then of course, this will also lead into them making guilt-inducing statements and trying to provoke that generosity for all kinds of things, really. So they also know you'll be much more likely to allow them, when the relationship does fall apart, to take for them to take more than their fair share of tangible assets. So number 7, they're looking for someone who is honest for 2 reasons. Honest because you're honest, and because usually honest people believe that most other people are honest. So they want somebody who's honest, because they certainly don't want you to be lying to them like they're lying to you. They don't want you to be stealing from them like they're stealing from you. They don't want you to be cheating on them like they're cheating on you. They don't want you to be sneaking around in their finances and looking into their histories like they will be doing to you. So If you're an inherently honest person, then you know people can take you at your word. So therefore, they will use this against you also in the future. When you start to figure out that they've been lying to you, they will kind of throw this honesty trait in your face by saying things like, I can't believe you would think I would lie to you. How could you think I would lie to you? I love you. I'm an honest person. And that will, it'll work a lot of times unless you have solid proof. And even then, many times they're able to weasel their way out of it. So they'll make you feel guilty for even questioning that they were being dishonest. So they know that somebody who's honest, they can pull the wool over their eyes for a far longer time. Number 8, they're looking for someone with weak boundaries. They will intensely be looking at your boundaries. What kind of boundaries do you have? And then they will immediately try and push or break those boundaries. This is a really big one. Remember, their intention is to take control over your life and usually your belongings also. So someone with strong boundaries just isn't going to work for them. So they're going to be watching for your boundaries. And when they discover a boundary, they're going to immediately try and take measures to see how they can break that, or how they can get you to bend it, and how soon they can get you to do this. And each time you agree to negotiate a boundary, they'll begin to see how much further they can push this issue. So you might give in a little bit, and then here before you know it, they're going to be pushing harder to break that boundary even down further. Because someone with strong personal boundaries isn't going to work for them. The goal is control. So if they can't break through your boundaries, the higher level of boundaries a person has isn't going to work for them, especially if they're searching for a primary source of narcissistic supply. Strong boundaries are not something that they're interested in. Number 9, many times they're looking for a target that comes from a somewhat dysfunctional family or environment. Someone who is raised in a dysfunctional family is going to have a much higher tolerance for putting up with their dysfunction. They also know that they will be able to isolate you easier from a dysfunctional family of origin. So, on top of that, they know that they can portray themselves as the hero from your family dysfunction. And then they're in a much better position to lie about the intentions of your family members. So this also serves them for isolation. And if anybody in your family becomes suspicious of them, then when that topic comes up to you, they can attack their credibility, they can attack their character, and make you doubt the family member rather than doubt them. So eventually they'll probably be saying things like, you wouldn't be reacting like that if you had a more stable, loving family, or this is way more about them than me. So dysfunctional family, some issues in the past is usually something they're looking for in a target. Number 10, they're looking for someone who dislikes and wants to avoid conflict, because let's be honest, pretty soon you're going to be taking the blame for everything. So they need someone who is going to become easier to become willing to take the blame for all kinds of things that they aren't guilty of. And of course, someone who dislikes and wants to avoid conflict will be more willing to go ahead and accept the blame if it'll prevent an argument or a spat. So in the beginning, it might seem like a small sacrifice to make, to spare an argument, to take the blame for little things. But as their behavior becomes more and more abusive and frequent and intense, you will be expected to take more and more blame and accountability for horrible things that are not your fault, and that you certainly aren't to blame for. Eventually, they're conditioning you to eventually take the blame for the tsunami of conflicts, which is narcissistic rage. So, eventually you will be to blame for their rages. So pretty soon, literally everything that's wrong in the world is going to be your fault. So they are looking for someone who wants to avoid and dislikes conflict. So, in closing, narcissists are looking for the exact opposite of them for the most part. Someone with very high values and morals, someone who is inherently a caring, courteous, and kind human being, someone who wants everybody to be happy and genuinely cares about other people and how they feel, someone who has weak boundaries and is extremely generous. So if you are a highly empathetic person, it's very important when you're just meeting other people that you are very, very cautious about keeping your guard up and, hold tightly to your boundaries until you really, really know someone. Most times when a narcissist is on the hunt for a new primary source of narcissistic supply, they're in a hurry and they are inherently impatient people and they bore quickly. So someone who is cautious and maintains solid boundaries consistently with them usually won't keep their attention very long, and they'll move on to another target, which is the goal. So always remember, keep those boundaries in place, and remember that all people aren't like you. And some people are literally on the hunt to ruin other people's lives. Okay, that's going to do it for today. If you liked this video, I would appreciate it if you would give it a thumbs up, and please subscribe to my channel. If you know someone who might benefit from seeing this video, please share it with them. Also, I will be trying to put out at least 2 videos a week. So hit that notification button and then you can be notified when a new video comes up. I'm going to leave the links for my Facebook and my Instagram below. So thanks for watching. Take care.